The Czech-born journalist Sir John Tuza captured it perfectly when he said,
"Our heart twinged when my cousin asked in despair, 'Do you think the West will ever come to rescue us?' The blessed few months of the Prague Spring, when Czechoslovaks tried to carve out a society of dignity and freedom, had raised hope. But on August 21st, 1968, that hope died."
The Czechs had called out for freedom. The Soviets answered, as they had in Hungary in 1956, with tanks, soldiers, and a brutal occupation. In the 1970s and 80s, AJC's Jacob Blaustein Institute, working with human rights dissidents, international organizations, and journalists, advocated for the human rights of Central Europeans. It would be a long and arduous effort. Freedom remained an elusive dream until the late 80s, when an anti-communist wave began to sweep across Central Europe. Poland would be the first nation to regain its independence. In 1990, while in Warsaw finalizing a Polish-American Jewish exchange program, AJC's Director of Interreligious Affairs, Rabbi James Rudin, became the first American Jew and possibly the first American to meet President-elect Lech Walesa. In the early 80s, Walesa, a shipyard electrician, began the Solidarity movement. Though success was far from certain, AJC unequivocally voiced its support. When the time came for the Baltic states to reclaim their freedom, AJC was there once more. In 1991, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania regained independence. After AJC appealed to President George H.W. Bush, the U.S. extended diplomatic recognition. Amid all these changes, the world wondered, could all these newly independent countries be viable democracies? Would they become fully engaged in the Western community of nations? AJC answered in the affirmative. In 1997, CEO David Harris testified before the U.S. Senate in support of NATO admission for Hungary, the Czech Republic, and Poland. AJC was the only Jewish agency to do so. In 1998, at a White House lunch, Czech President Václav Havel recalled that when the people of Central Europe faced challenges on the road to democracy, they were not alone. He noted that AJC, together with two non-Jewish, non-governmental organizations, substantially contributed to the creation of an order of security and peace in Europe. In 2002, AJC pressed once more for NATO expansion, supporting membership for Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Slovakia. All 7 nations, formerly subjugated by communist rule, became NATO members. Admission to NATO had, in part, hinged on the full acceptance of minorities within these nations. With the Friedrich Naumann Foundation, AJC established the program Promoting Tolerance in Central and Eastern Europe. Nearly 400 emerging leaders have attended these exchange programs over the past 25 years. The momentous changes unfolding in Central Europe opened the door for the revival of Jewish life. But if Central Europe's Jews were to thrive, they needed to navigate the new political landscape. Through AJC, members of these communities developed leadership skills and built relationships with Jewish counterparts in neighboring countries. Together with the Forum for Dialogue, AJC also launched the Polish-Jewish Exchange, which for more than 3 decades has brought American Jews to Poland and Poles from all walks of life to the United States. Among the many issues facing these new nations was the need to confront the Holocaust, which had been largely buried during the communist era. Belzec, the Nazi German death camp in Poland, where nearly 500,000 Jews had been killed in less than a year, had become an unmarked and littered field. The Polish government and AJC, in an unprecedented partnership, preserved the site and established a museum. Meanwhile, Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia invited AJC's International Jewish Affairs Director, Andrew Baker, to assist in their Holocaust commissions. Changes in Central Europe also heralded a new era for relations with Israel. After the Six-Day War, the Central European nations severed relations with the Jewish state and later supported UN Resolution 3379, which maliciously equated Zionism with racism. Now, free to determine their own paths, they became friends and strategic partners with Israel. In 2008, Polish President Lech Kaczynski, while in Jerusalem to celebrate the nation's 60th anniversary, met with a senior AJC delegation. When Latvian President Viera Vika Freiberga presented David Harris with the Order of the Three Stars in 2007, she noted, during the past half-century, David Harris and the AJC have definitely not been on the sidelines of history. You have helped to forge a better future for us all. Indeed, AJC has never and will never stand on the sidelines of history. That is why AJC is opening its Central European office in Warsaw, an office that will deepen AJC's decades-long engagement with this vital region.